Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something I think pretty much everyone has felt at some point. That pull between needing to protect your own peace and, trying to keep all your relationships afloat. It can feel like you have to pick one, but what if you don't?
It really does feel like it boils down to this question, doesn't it? Protect your peace or keep your friends? It feels so black and white, like it's an impossible choice you have to make. And it's a painful one, because you're weighing your own sanity against your social life. And when that feeling gets intense enough, that urge to just vanish can be incredibly strong. Just go completely quiet, stop answering calls, maybe even delete your apps. It starts to feel like the only path to quiet is to just cut everyone off completely.
And this really lays out the two paths so clearly, doesn't it? I mean, on one side, you've got the cut them off strategy. Sure, it might get you some silence in the short term, but that quiet comes at a huge cost. Loneliness, burned bridges. But then, look at the other side. Build a boundary. This one doesn't just promise inner calm, it promises healthier connections. It's not about destruction, it's about reconstruction.
So that's exactly what we're going to explore here. We're going to lay out a kind of blueprint for this better way forward. It's all about making a shift, moving away from that destructive idea of cutting people out and toward a constructive one of building a stronger inner world. And this right here is the key insight that just changes the entire game. It's not about who you kick out of your life. It's about how you manage their access to your life. Suddenly, the problem isn't a painful sacrifice anymore. It's a practical skill you can actually learn. I love this analogy. It just makes so much sense. We tend to think of boundaries as these big, hostile walls we put up to keep the world away. But a healthy boundary? That's more like a fence with a gate. It doesn't block connection entirely, it just gives you control. You decide who comes in, when they come in, and how far. You get to manage the access.
Okay, so how do we actually build this fence? Well, we're going to walk through 6 very specific, practical tools. Think of this next part as your step-by-step blueprint for building that inner calm.
All right, here's our toolkit. These are the 6 big strategies we're going to work with. We're going to cover saying no, setting limits, managing access to your world, not taking everything personally, choosing your reactions, and finally, being smart about where your energy goes. Each one is a building block. So let's start at the beginning. Yes, the word no. It's just 2 little letters, but for so many of us, especially if you're a people pleaser, it can feel like the heaviest, most difficult word to say out loud. It's just dripping with guilt. So the absolute key is this simple mindset shift you see here. We have to stop seeing no as a selfish act and start seeing it for what it really is, an act of self-respect. You're just honoring your own limits, your own energy. And that's not selfish at all. It's vital. Okay, moving on to our second tool. And this one usually comes right after you've managed to say no. It's that trap we fall into, where we feel like we have to justify our no with a huge detailed explanation. We act like we owe them an essay. But look at this distinction because it's so important. A boundary is just a clear statement. I'm not available then. Boom. Done. A justification is a defensive story that honestly weakens your boundary. It basically opens the door for someone to poke holes in your reasoning or try to solve your problem for you. Clarity is your friend here.
This third tool is so powerful because it gets us out of that all-or-nothing thinking. It recognizes that relationships are messy and complicated. You don't always have to unfriend or block someone. Sometimes you just need to adjust how much access they have to you.
I think this metaphor is just perfect. You're not turning off the heat completely, you're just adjusting the thermostat. Maybe that means you spend a little less time with someone who drains you. Or maybe you just decide you're not going to share your deepest secrets with them anymore. You get to control the temperature.
Now, this next tool is all about protecting your inner space. You know how it is, someone's rude or short with you, and your first thought is, what did I do wrong? We just soak up their energy and make it all about us.
And this quote right here is the antidote. Truly getting that how other people act is almost always about their world, their stress, their baggage, their bad day is so liberating. It's not a judgment on you. Realizing that lets you just let it go.
Building right on top of that, our 5th tool is about taking back control. We think peace means living a life where nothing ever bothers us, but that's just not realistic. Real peace comes from learning how to choose your response when things inevitably do bother you.
And just look at this shift.
The reactive mindset says, they made me mad. You're giving them all the power. But the proactive mindset, it says, okay, that happened, and now I get to decide how I respond. That tiny pause between the trigger and your reaction, that's where all your power is.
And finally, our sixth tool. Let's think about your energy, your time, your attention as your most valuable resource. Because it is, and it's also limited. So the big question is, where are you investing it? This chart really makes it obvious, doesn't it? Every ounce of energy you spend on drama, on negativity, on people who drain you, is energy you can't spend on things that actually fill you up and bring you peace. It's about consciously deciding to move your investments from the chaos column over to the calm column. So as we wrap this up, I want you to think about these 6 tools not as just a random list of tips, but as the actual building blocks for your own inner architecture. You are literally the architect of your own peace. So if you're going to take anything away from all this, let it be these 3 things. 1, this is a skill you have to build. It takes practice. 2, this whole thing isn't about pushing people away. It's about creating healthier, better connections. And maybe most importantly, inner calm isn't something you just stumble upon one day. It's something you have to consciously build, brick by brick.
And ultimately, I think this is the most powerful way to look at it. You're not being destructive. You're not being selfish. You are doing something creative. You are building a life for yourself that is more peaceful and more authentic.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Looking back at those 6 tools, which one is calling out to you right now? What is the very first brick you're going to lay to build the architecture of your inner calm?